Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star episode number 251 based on novel. So let's start. The virtual universe had high standards for every primal region sector lord. Since Luofeng was one that had passed the domain Lord Sky Mountain and acquired 3 billion points in reward, also being the primal Chaos City leader's disciple, one could only imagine their level of request and expectation they had of him. It was definitely the highest amongst all the primal region sector lords. 10 trillion points quota, this was also after careful consideration from the company. Time passed. We'll be arriving at our destination in half a day. Taiwo gazed at the 9 sector lord generals, and his eyes were solemn. Shattered Stars is a very dangerous region, Madman and Rock, you probably know very little about the area. Before we arrive, I'll explain it to the both of you. Luofeng and Rock listened intently. Luofeng didn't dare relax at all. The other races had all sorts of methods and tactics. The moment he wasn't careful, even if he was strong, he'd still be killed. The entire star field is a battlefield. Battles can erupt at any time. Taiwo looked at the two of them. However, there are 2 types of battles. One is the army battles, and the other is between elite teams. Universe level and domain lords, these are weak. And some normal sector lord soldiers, without the invitation of any elite team, would be sent to lead large amounts of universe and domain lords, forming a huge army. Taiwo said, these armies are led by an Undying to go into war with the other armies. The Undyings would fight other Undyings and the weaker ones would fight each other. We are different. We are an elite sector lord team, just us alone is akin to a full army. Taiwo said. However, we are small in numbers, and there are many empty spaces within the 7th Starfield battlefield. We can easily spot the enemies, fleeing as soon as we know we are not a match. Hence these areas aren't fit to be battlefields. Special regions are thus made within this 7th battlefield. The 4 pinnacle races put their strongest warriors within the regions and massacre each other. The battles are intense. We are heading to the 001289038484 region, Shattered Stars system. It's a more renowned battle region. Over trillions of years, who knows how many warriors have fallen there. Taiwo gently tapped in mid-air. A light screen immediately formed and on it a star map appeared. This is Shattered Stars system. Taiwo pointed at the map. Luofeng looked carefully. Shattered Stars system, it was like a region filled with asteroids. The legendary Shattered Stars system, when this secret region hadn't become a battlefield yet, it was a huge planet. According to what was said, it had a diameter of over 10 million kilometers. Taiwo exclaimed, later on, this planet was completely destroyed by one of the demon clan's top races, the 1000 Centipede clan. The planet was reduced to countless remains floating within this space with a diameter of 0.8 light years. Through countless battles after, these remains get shattered further over and over, hence there are countless fragments throughout the area. These fragments are called Shattered Stars. And this whole 0.8 light years in diameter area is called Shattered Stars system. Taiwo said. Luofeng nodded, Shattered Stars? Has anybody calculated how many pieces there are? It's shocking, almost every 100 million kilometer area has fragments, and some with more in density. Some are more sparse within the entire area. Taiwo laughed, it may be due to it being a secret region, but the fragments are incredibly cold and sturdy. Even a sector lord's strength will find it hard to break these fragments. And because they are hard to destroy, Shattered Stars system became a renowned battlefield with large amounts of other race warriors hidden within. Taiwo said. You two must remember. There are simply too many other race warriors, hence we cannot fight for too long or draw too much attention. Taiwo emphasized. The moment the battle drags, it may attract others to rush over, and once we get surrounded, that would be it. If the battle is too flashy, even an official level Undying with an Undying body, one who is arrogant and powerful, would be reduced to nothing and destroyed. Luofeng nodded. This disc-shaped E9 ship finally reached Shattered Stars system. Through the external simulator, Luofeng gazed out. He could see floating planet fragments throughout the space. These fragments were all over, and a formless energy permeated through everywhere. The energy here sure is shocking. Countless warriors have fallen throughout these areas. Poison laughed, if you feel uncomfortable, you can send part of your consciousness into the virtual universe network to relax. No one will make fun of you. After all, we won't be here for a day or two, but for hundreds to thousands of years. There's a human sector lord team. Luo Feng looked at his screen. On the battlefield, humans naturally could assist each other. The main thing was to keep a portion of the consciousness connected to the virtual universe network. That way, if there were any allies or partners within a 1 billion kilometers area, they would appear. 1. Displaying ally markers within a 1 billion kilometers area. 2. Distress signals, all human allies within the 10 billion kilometers area would receive it. These were the two huge uses of the virtual universe network in the battlefield. Of course, there were other uses like reporting and calculations, etc. Shattered Stars system has many other race warriors. Mad Wu smiled. There are many humans too, along with allies from other races. It's normal to discover allies within the 1 billion kilometers area. They progressed. They often discovered other allies and their markers about. Stop. We'll stop at the Shattered Stars system nest for a while. Taiwo ordered. The ship slowed down swiftly. Let's get out. Luo Feng and the others swiftly flew out and Taiwo kept the resting quarters first before keeping the ship. The group stood in space. The path we flew by, especially the regions we recently passed, had many other humans and allies around. It means this is an area we humans mostly control. We'll choose this area to set up base. Taiwo smiled. The 9 sector lords nodded. Luo Feng discovered through his screen that within the 1 billion kilometers area there were 2 gathering markers. It was obvious that there were 2 human and allies areas within that fragment. Taiwo pointed in the distance. The scanners have discovered a deep cave within. It should be left behind by one of the teams. We don't need to waste our strengths. The 10 warriors swiftly flew over, closing millions of kilometers in an instant as they landed randomly within the fragment. This fragment had many marks of battle. It was clear that over trillions of years, it had received countless ripples and attacks. Its largest diameter was 1.6 kilometers and smallest was 1.1 kilometers. It had a total of 21 pathways within. Luo Feng and the team followed one pathway until they reached the core of the fragment. This was a huge cave with a diameter of about 100 meters. It's pretty big. Taiwo smiled and pointed at the ground. A resting quarters completely made of tungsten essence appeared and landed on the ground. Open. Taiwo ordered. The cabin door opened automatically and the group entered. Within the resting room deep in the fragment. We just arrived at Shattered Stars system, everybody take a rest. Taiwo smiled. We'll first contact our neighbors through the virtual universe network, the allies that we have in this 1 billion kilometers area. Even though humans have taken most of the region, there will be other race warriors that might invade the area. We cannot see their markers, and those that come will definitely have confidence and strength. Just our sector lord team won't be able to handle them alone. It's better to contact our allies. After which Taiwo closed his eyes and sent his consciousness into the virtual universe network to contact the neighbors. The others relaxed, all calming themselves. They rested in order to do better in battle. 1 billion contribution points and 10 trillion. Luo Feng sat in the sofa and pondered. The army gave me a quota of 1 billion. As long as I finish that, I'll be free. I can choose to retire or exchange for treasure, even choosing to continue to battle or battling alone. I'll first stick with Taiwo and the others. I'll swiftly gain experience about the battlefield and I'll be able to quickly complete my 1 billion points quota too. He thought. Once that's done, I'll probably understand how to survive in the battlefield, then I'll no longer need to stick to the team. Sticking to this team, he had no way to fully unleash his strength. As there were too many people, revealing his true strength would shock them and they would naturally tell their other friends about it, then it'd be troublesome. Luo Feng was very clear. His status as the primal Chaos City leader's disciple didn't bring just benefits, it brought dangers as well. The other races would madly rush to kill him. When I work alone later on, I'll be able to unleash my strength and kill the other races. Even if my identity is revealed, I can swiftly switch locations. I'm still a newbie here, I have to gain more experience. Luo Feng thought, I'll help out this team while I'm here. At this time, Taiwo opened his eyes. Haha, I've already contacted our neighbors. They are also 2 elite sector lord teams led by Undyings. One is a human elite team while another is an allied race team. Taiwo smiled. We've formed an offensive and defensive alliance. If anyone other race warriors dare attack us here, we 3 will join together. Our survival rate would grow by a huge amount. Everybody rest for a day, tomorrow we begin our battle. Yes. The 9 sector lords replied, all filled with anticipation. The 7 old members were on high alert when they arrived in Shattered Star. This was completely normal to them, as they had been in such environments for too long. Luophone was on high alert too when they first arrived. There was a saying that an able person was more daring. With his high perspectives and mental state, Luophone quickly got used to such a state of alertness, that of being in critical danger at any time. As for Rock, he was a new recruit too, however his strength was far from Luophone's, and was only considered exceptional amongst other sector lords. After rushing to Shattered Stars the moment he signed on, the moment he thought about being in such danger all the time, he was unable to calm down. Since the killing aura within the entire area was too heavy, he was a nervous wreck. Rock, you should send a part of your consciousness to the virtual universe network to play some games and relax. Taiwo smiled as he noticed. Yes, Captain. Rock was filled with regret. Don't feel bad, everyone here. When we first came to the wars, the feeling of a battle breaking out at any time, it forced everyone to go crazy. There are no such terrifying places in humanity's territories. The new recruits all go through the same thing, we call it the new recruit sickness. Taiwo smiled. Rock nodded and connected to the virtual universe network to relax. Captain. Demon Lady smiled. Madman doesn't seem to have that sickness at all, he seems totally calm. You think he's an ordinary person? Poison lay in his sofa and hugged his bottle of wine. He seemed to enjoy drinking the most out of all the members. As for creating potions, most of his experiments were done in the virtual universe as it was realistic enough. As long as there are enough materials, he could do the same in reality. The group chatted casually, some choosing to rest up. Very quickly, the next day came. Gather. The undying Taiwo ordered. Poison, Mad Wu, God, Madman, they all swiftly stood up. This is our first mission since coming to Shattered Stars, we have to succeed. Taiwo's gaze swept past the 9 of them. The old members should know the rules. New recruits, when we encounter special situations, just watch how the old members react. Yes. Luophone and Rock nodded. All right, let's go. Taiwo smiled and ordered. We can finally begin to gain contribution points. Haha, I used up most of mine long ago. The old members all laughed. These old members had gone through many life or death situations to become sector lord generals. They had long completed their quotas, hence they were free from the army long ago. They could use the points gathered to exchange for treasures they needed. Normally 100,000 contribution points added up to 1 mixed element. Luophone and group swiftly exited the nest. The captain naturally kept the resting quarters. C9 grade ship? Luophone and Rock stood on the fragment, shocked at the floating ship. Right, we'll be taking a C9 grade ship out. Taiwo nodded. This C9 ship's weakness is its slow acceleration and deceleration, and it dodges slow too. However, the moment it accelerates, it can be quite fast too. Reaching sublight speed shouldn't be too hard. The most important thing is, there are too many powerful warriors in Shattered Stars, they can attack at any time. The moment they do, the ship would be destroyed. We will. I'll be staying here for a long time. If we lose a ship every time, I cannot afford such losses. Such C9 grade ships are very cheap. Even if I lose hundreds of thousands to millions of them, I wouldn't feel the pinch. Taiwo smiled. Luophone was stunned. C9 grade ships were indeed very cheap. Even 1 million of them wouldn't add up to 1 mixed element. To an undying, it was indeed very, very cheap. After all, any heirs to some powerful families all can sit in C-grade ships. These were definitely made large scale. Just one ancient family alone would probably have up to tens of millions of them. And the wealth of such families usually didn't even add up to an undying's. Luophone and the others sat in the low-quality C9 ship, flying at sublight speed, dodging the many fragments and maintaining distance from them. The scanning device I bring along with me is worth 120 mixed elements, which is much more valuable than a C9 grade ship. Taiwo stood in the resting quarters and smiled. This scanning device is able to detect life signals within area with a diameter of 100 million kilometers. Even though we know the markers of our allies, we don't know our enemies. Hence we have to rely on such devices. This thing, we cannot scrimp on it. A good scanning device is very important. Luophone laughed. The scanning device was indeed important, hence before coming to the outer region wars, he had exchanged for one himself. With his status and discount, he spent 3.9 million points on one. Naturally, to Luophone who had 3 billion points back then, it didn't cost much, and whether it was the outer region wars or the secret regions, this would come in handy. Even after discount it was 3.9 million points. If it were auctioned outside, it would cost at least 10 million. Mixed elements and normal official level undyings only had that much. Such an expensive scanning device like this, normally only Emperor level undyings could afford. If the enemy has a powerful scanning device too, it would detect our scan. Taiwo said, naturally a lot of other races are weaker technologically. They would only detect us after we began our attack. The ship continued to progress. The first day, they were mostly within the area with their allies. The second day, it began with sparse warriors about. Later on they discovered many other race warriors. Second day, in the ship. Quick, change direction and fly away from the target. Taiwo ordered. The ship changed its direction and maintained its sublight speed. What's wrong, Captain? Why so scared? Demon Lady and Mad Wu mocked. Taiwo hushed them. There are ripples of 6 undyings. What? Luo Feng was slightly shocked. Everybody else however jumped up. 6 undyings gathered together? The illusionist Wei hugging his cat stared wide-eyed. Relax, we've been maintaining our speed close to the limit within the area. And with us flying away from them, even if they wanted to chase, they wouldn't be able to. Taiwo smiled. They probably detected us too and are too lazy to bother. A team formed from 6 undyings? Luo Feng was curious. This team might have an official level strength within such a team. Taiwo nodded. Such a terrifying team is definitely a trump card team. We are only an elite team. If we faced off, just one official level undying would be able to kill us all. Flying within the space, they were careful throughout. After experiencing several other dangerous situations. Discovered target. 92.84 million kilometers away from target, there are a total of 5 of them, they should all be sector lords. Taiwo said. 5 sector lords? No difficulty at all. The white armored god smiled. Be careful everyone, those able to come to Shattered Stars are all not easy opponents. Even if they are just 5 sector lords, they should have some trump cards. Poison warned. Understood. Relax little Chen Chen. The ship then began to slow down and headed towards the targets. Distance shrinking, 90 million kilometer, 80 million, 70 million, the 5 sector lords stayed within a fragment without any movement. I guess their scanning device is just average, hence they haven't discovered our scan, and their scanner should have been jammed by ours already. Taiwo said. Anyone in the outer region wars definitely had scanning devices. If I can detect you and you can detect me, this was the difference in technology. Like when they were attacked by the automaton warrior before, their scanners never picked up anything. It was obvious the enemy was much more advanced in technology. And this time, it seemed like their own device was superior to the target's. After a while, the distance closed to 3 million kilometers. Ship decreasing speed, stopping. We've already detected their appearances, they are 5 other race sector lords, look. Taiwo's arm screen shot out a blurry light that projected the images in mid-air. It had their height and size, skin color etc. along with detailed information. It was 5 other race warriors. Their heights were between 21-25 meter, and they were definitely giants compared to humanity. They all wore thick armor. The top half of their bodies were close to humans. The bottom half were creatures with 6 thick hooves, with a long scaled tail, their entire body was covered in green scales. Lei Quan race. Taiwo said seriously. They are creatures proficient in thunder, they are on the Bug Clan side. Poison nodded. No wonder they dared to come here, the thunder race creatures are harder to deal with. These old members all began their discussions. Luo Feng carefully looked at the pictures, getting a better understanding of the other races. Actually Taiwo and Poison etc., they didn't know detailed information about the other races that much. They used their countless battles and interactions with the other races to accumulate their experiences. Hence they had a rough understanding of their abilities. Luo Feng however knew everything extremely well. Lei Quan race, they had a sacred land Lei Quan, every infant would be placed in that area when they could use their own strengths to climb up to the peak of the area and out of it, only then would their nurturing stage be complete. Hence every one of them were naturally proficient in lightning laws, they could naturally control it and their comprehension of the laws too naturally made their strengths powerful. Just like the Mosha clansman being proficient in the space laws and the golden horned beast in that of the gold. Naturally. Even though they had natural talent, they mostly relied on the evolution from the Lei Quan sacred land. Hence, in terms of comprehension and lore unleashing, it couldn't compare to the Moshe clansmen. Even so, compared to humans, it was already a huge advantage. However, they did have a weakness: their numbers weren't even a millionth of humanity. Everybody get out of the ship and sneak in. We will unleash our attacks simultaneously, Captain Taiwo ordered. Yes. The group sneakily flew down and Taiwo kept the ship. Later on, they tore through the space and headed towards the fragment where the 5-sector Lord Lei Quan race warriors were hiding. At this time, within the fragment's caves, 5 Lei Quan sector lords were chatting and laughing within. Superior, the contribution points we got this time were not bad. If this speed keeps up, within a decade, you'll have collected sufficient contribution points. Then you can go back and be absorbed into the sacred land. A warrior with a lion-like body with 6 hooves, covered in green scales and a human-like torso said. The tallest 25-meter Lei Quan race warrior laughed loudly. Right, those that looked down on you before will definitely regret it. They will think that he actually died in the outer region wars. The many clansmen all laughed loudly and happily. Of which the smallest one, with a height of 21 meter, an icy cold-looking one, revealed a rare smile. Back then when I stayed in the clan I was under someone, I forced myself out of a death path, finding the only chance. Coming to the outer region wars only has 2 outcomes. One is to die and the other is to succeed and return, standing above others. In space, Taiwo and the others were 100,000 kilometers away. Stop. Taiwo communicated. The 9 sector lords stopped, the 10 of them were standing in space. Don't get anxious. Taiwo pointed at the distant fragment. There are 5 sector lords within. They shouldn't have discovered us yet, they are now within the fragment itself. Let me first send the first attack. Even if they don't die, they'd lose half of their strength. Captain, we'll rely on you. The captain's cannon is coming. The old members communicated and laughed. Luo Feng watched on curiously. Taiwo raised his hands and immediately a torrent of ground undying energy began to gather in his hands. The god energy condensed further, it got stronger and stronger until a yellow light ball formed between his hands. The strength of the god energy kept rising until even Luo Feng changed his expression. This was purely overpowering the enemy with strength. Go! Taiwo rushed forward like lightning, flashing over 100,000 kilometers until he was only a few kilometers away from the fragment. Then he waved his hands almost like tossing out a huge asteroid. Rumble. An undying energy ball became a glaring laser, rushing into the spacious cave of the fragment. For the Lei Quan clansmen to fit through, it was naturally spacious. Within the cave. Not good. Let's go. The skinny Lei Quan clansman changed his expression and ordered. Their detection device in the superior's hands had gone off when Taiwo had rushed close to them with that powerful energy ripple. He immediately ordered all of them to flee. At the time, rumble. The Lei Quan clansmen flew in all directions, rushing into the pathways out when a huge explosion occurred. Rumble, the powerful undying energy imploded within, large amounts of energy rippled along the caves and swiftly flew out. The powerful force had torn through space itself, flowing through the caves and rushing out. It naturally hit the 5 Lei Quan warriors. This attack was one that the undying Taiwo had stored for long before unleashing. Even though they were only hit by the ripples of the explosion, it was still more deadly than 10 sector lords' combined attacks. Purple blood spewed out. The green scales tore apart. The 5 Lei Quan warriors let out enraged roars, their 6 hooves stomping as they rushed out of the fragment. At this time, a distant beam of light shot over. Kill! The leading undying with powerful law ripples ordered. It's the humans. Human undying. It's the law domain. The 5 Lei Quan warriors changed their expressions. The undying Taiwo instantly unleashed his law domain. Countless yellow light dots spread over the area. Every dot was like a mountain, madly rushing at the incredibly huge Lei Quan Sector L. Odds. Even though the law domain couldn't kill them, it had decreased their speeds by over half. And Luo Feng, Poison, and the others went according to the plan, swiftly surrounding them. Be careful, everybody. Killing 5 sector lords isn't that difficult, however we don't want any losses here. Taiwo communicated. Relax. We understand. The 9 members all followed. They knew too that falling into a trap would easily be dangerous for them. They all had partners who had fallen along with the enemy despite having huge advantages. Seeing the human sector lord team surround them, the leader being an Undying, the 5 Lei Quan warriors changed their expressions. "I'll deal with the Undying." The skinny little warrior's eyes gleamed with madness. "Superior. Superior." The other 4 looked nervous. "Remember, there's only 2 options, live or die. Give it your all," the skinny warrior said. He was only skinny and small compared to the others. Compared to humans, he made the biggest mother flame race hammer look like a child. He couldn't even compare to the size of one hoof. "Right. Yes, superior." The 4 warriors almost simultaneously brandished close to 15-meter-tall shields, another hand wielding 60-meter-long pikes, their bodies covered in thunder snakes. Humans, the skinny warrior brandished the same weapons, his shield however was slightly smaller. The pike however reached a length of 80 m, and it had incredibly complex engravings on it. The bloodthirst emanating from it was terrifying. "Receive my attack," the skinny warrior roared. His 6 hooves in space shook, as the surrounding space instantly tore apart. The long pike seemed to become a huge lightning bolt. As he roared, the pike pierced forward. Rumble. The pike became a thunder whirlpool, turning and changing as it pierced forward. The Undying Taiwo receiving the attack felt his reaction time slow down by quite a bit, and his expression changed. "Not good, it's a genius Lei Quan warrior that's well trained in thunder and time laws." The well-experienced Taiwo was very clear on this. It was extremely hard for a human sector lord to be on par with an Undying. However, the chances of that happening in the other races was much higher. It was because their basic foundation was much higher. Raw? Taiwo instantly punched forward. With the punch, it was like an endless mountain pushing forward, infused with law comprehension bound strongly to it. Rumble. The punch and the pike clashed head-on. The huge, skinny and small Lei Quan warrior was knocked back over 1,000 kilometers. Purple blood spewed from his mouth as he roared, "Go and die, go and die." His expression malevolent as he stomped his 6 hoofs in space and once again rushed at Taiwo. The thunder pike in his hand seemed to grow even more and his arms seemed to tear because of it. His scales tore apart too, revealing his muscles. It was obvious that he had exceeded his limit. Howl! The thunder pike actually left his hands and revolved forwards, distorting time and space as it pierced at Taiwo. "Ha ha, the stronger you are, the more contribution points I'll get from killing you." Taiwo smiled wide. Stepping forward, his stomp tore through space and countless space fragments flowed messily. He however was a steady pillar amidst the mess, once again punching forward. Rumble. Due to the huge clash between the 2 of them, the surrounding 100 kilometers of space completely crumbled with countless slits of space flowing madly about. The huge thunderpike was actually knocked back from the punch. However, as it flew, it returned back to the skinny Lei Quan warrior with an ugly expression. "It's a pity, I'm not the same warrior as when I just came to the outer region wars. If it were the me of back then, I may even be disadvantaged. Now however, you will die, race genius, become my contribution points." Taiwo's energy soared, instantly becoming an endless majestic mountain in space itself, once again punching at the little and skinny Lei Quan warrior. This punch was more terrifying than the 2 punches from before. "Superior! Superior!" Harsh cries resounded from the other side. The skinny warrior unleashed his world energy. He had long discovered what had happened on the other side. Amongst his 4 underlings, 2 of them had already died. "Ya!" One of the Lei Quan warriors stomped his hooves and pierced his pike at the illusionist demon lady. It was actually one of her illusions. It caused 2 of them that had fallen under her spell to be instantly killed. Demon lady's expression changed. That warrior's eyes were filled with madness. How many years had it been? Back then, 30 underlings had followed their superior into the outer region wars. Massacring along the way, many had fallen, now only 4 were left. They had finally succeeded and killed a large number of enemies, accumulating their contribution points, seeing the reward within a decade of their grasp. Who'd expect them to be attacked today? A gold light flashed. The Lei Quan warrior first saw a gold blade from the distance, after that it vanished into space and reappeared right before his eyes, as he stared with shock. The gold blade pierced right through his head and into his body, destroying his life core, causing the source to crumble and his internal world to collapse. Some items appeared and filled up the space that was filled with the aftermath of battles. "Thanks." Demon Lady looked at the dead Lei Quan warrior and winked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng laughed. He thought within, "This is probably the first other race warrior I've killed since coming to the outer region wars." Luophone, you've got contribution points. Barbata said. Luophone smiled. Every battle had to be connected to the virtual universe network, only that way could the system observe the battle and give the contribution points. 1 million points? Luophone looked at the screen, shaking his head. So stingy, I killed an opponent close to Sector Lord General level, and they only give me 1 million? However, it's also my first batch. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.